What's up, everyone? It's Evan with Lions, Bulls, and Bears, back for another episode of Crypto Courage. And have a lot to talk about in this episode. We're going to talk about where I think we are in the market, and I'm still bullish, hence the bull behind me. And yeah, also want to talk about Ravencoin, XRP, and an awesome NFT project I'm super excited about called Galactic Gang by an artist named Dyer. He actually did the art on my hat here. And yeah, let's get into it. Figured I'd use this as my backdrop since I'm still bullish. Got a beautiful bison here. Let's see the artist. Chris Peterson. Nice work, Chris Peterson. Love it. All right, so let's start with market update, where we are in the market. We got the Dow Jones at 35,911. I got the NASDAQ at 14,893. I have the S&P coming in at 4,662. It's the weekend, so the markets aren't moving. So we'll see what happens when they open up on Monday. But now let's go to the crypto markets where it never sleeps. So we got Bitcoin coming in at 43,415. And everything's pretty much flat today. It's only up or down. Like the most was either up or down 3% of all the coins I'm about to mention. So we got Ethereum coming in at 3,348. Litecoin, $148.29. Got ADA at $1.31. Polkadot coming in at 28.06. Got Doge at 18 cents. Tesla is now accepting Doge, which not a huge surprise there. We know Elon likes Doge. $25.51 for Chainlink. XRP is 78 cents. Got XLM is 26 cents. Ravencoin coming in at 10 cents. And HEX at 24 cents. Also, let's do silver and gold. Got precious metals for silver, $23.09. And gold is coming in at $1,825. So yeah, let's go into where I think we are in the crypto market. All right, so let's get into it. One thing I forgot to mention in my intro is that we're also going to talk about PulseX and PulseChain as well. So you hear some kids playing. I took my daughter here to the library and she's playing with another little kid. So it's pretty adorable. But yeah, so first I wanted to talk about the bearish scenario and start with that. So I want to play some clips from Richard Hart, who thinks we're in a bear market, and yeah, let's go ahead and roll the clip.
So yeah, back to the Bitcoin head and shoulders. I called the Bitcoin top 9 months ago, and that top call has been in profit every single day except one. Everyone else told you that the price would go to 100,000 or a million at the end of 2021. And did that happen? No, it didn't happen. What happened was I was right again. So how right was I? Let's go and pat myself on the back a little bit here, because that's what we need. We need some more Richard Hart. You're gonna get a lot of back patting going on here today. So I called the top 9 months ago, and what if you had hopped into hex.com instead of sticking in Bitcoin? Well, let's see. Here's a chart. Bitcoin went down 55% on my call over 69 days. Called the top on the day. Then bounced back up, made a tiny little fake out new high. It went up 6% higher. It went from 65 to 69. That's 6%. Everybody that longed that breakout wrecked. Price went immediately down 41% over the next 58 days. And now it's lower, by the way. Anyway. So now that's Bitcoin, right? So what if instead, so I called the top on the day while everyone else was bullish out of their minds. I've done this more than one cycle. I did it last cycle too, 2017, 2018. I did it for Ethereum as well. I said last cycle, 27 days later, after Bitcoin hit its top, Ethereum hit its top. Exactly 27 days later, Vitalik sent $50 million to Coinbase, and the Ethereum Foundation consensus dumped the Ethereum price on everybody, sold the top, right down 27 days later. Hilarious. So I'm just right like all the time, and I do it for free. There's no paid group. I suggest you don't trade. I suggest that you do things that are healthy for you, delay gratification, but I just give this to you for free, along with my free coins. World's largest airdrop coming out soon. Testnet's up now.
All right, so yeah, Richard claims to have called the top on the, back in April, but at 64K. But at that, shortly after that, after we crashed, I said we'd have a second leg up, and we got that to 69K. And so Richard, says he called the top, but then he also says, except for when it went higher. So he didn't exactly call the top. He didn't predict 69K. He said we were already in a bear market. He might be right that it was a double top, but I think we're going to have a third leg up. And we'll get into that when we play the bullish scenario. Another person who's turned to the dark side and flip bearish is Chico Crypto. So let's play this clip from Chico.
And whenever inflation has got to this level, you guys, just check back in the charts of inflation, we go into recession. The government has to step in and they have to start raising rates. So again, you guys, it's not necessarily good. And if you check out, some of the traditional markets, initially they had a pump, because inflation data came in line. But if you check out the Dow, it's been actually dropping since that initial pump. Because I think the reality is going to kind of set in, you guys. The government is going to have to raise rates if they want to stop inflation. And one of the only ways, is to stop printing money, stop their bond purchasing programs and all of that. They've been printing, and it's got to stop if they want to get inflation under control. If they want to, allow Americans to survive, they have to start raising rates. So again, you guys, that's one of the reasons I think this may be a fake little pump out. But regarding Bitcoin, and a fake pump, we got to talk about leverage. So even, with Bitcoin getting down to 40K, down below 40K, and the pump up to 43K, we have only seen, $80 million in short liquidations. The day before that, probably like 60 million in short liquidations. It's not much. Not too many. There are a few people, but there aren't many people who are shorting Bitcoin right now. And the only place these big exchanges, the whales, can make their money is in long liquidations. So be careful, with your trading right now. Be careful, looking at necessarily all these different altcoins. What was worrying me about some of these altcoin pumps when Bitcoin was getting brutalized was exit liquidity. I mean, there are a lot of big bag holders in these altcoin projects, the whales, that need exit liquidity. And one of the best ways to do that is to create a fake pump. So they get people to buy, and then they're able to sell out their large bags at higher prices. So be careful of exit liquidity. Be careful with a lot of the big influencers out in the space, them promoting, saying we're going to go bullish again, you guys. It's kind of scary what's going on in the markets right now. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little worried. It's hard for me to say. I mean, it could have been, that last hurrah could have been 64K, and we are, gonna go into a crypto winter. A lot of people were talking about the crypto winter. Deep down, for some reason, I still think we have one more push up. I mean, there's too much money to be made in these markets. But again, a lot of it has to do with the traditional markets, you guys. I mean, Bitcoin follows the Dow. It follows stocks. I mean, tech stocks go down, and not necessarily all stocks. It follows, more speculative stocks like tech stocks. They go down. Bitcoin, crypto gets crushed, you guys.
Dang, Chico, why are you so bearish? But no, you know, Chico makes a good point here. The Fed could have ruined the party by, you know, saying they're going to be tapering and raising rates soon. I personally think that's priced in. And what do you know? What are you gonna do if you know a party's gonna come to an end? You know, you rage until the end. So that's why I think we're actually still gonna have one last leg up. Chico left that as a possibility. He says he still thinks there might be one last leg up. So he hasn't flipped completely bearish, but even in today's video, he's sounding more bearish for the medium turn. Yeah, and he also kind of is worried about Ethereum, but we'll get into that later. But I'm just kind of wondering what his thoughts are on the extended cycle theory that Benjamin Cowen has been talking about, because a couple months ago when you know, December didn't pan out the way he thought, you know, he was thinking more along the lines of Benjamin Cowen and the extended cycles, which we'll get into that in a minute. I pretty much think that's what's going on. I don't think it's going to be as long as a time frame as Ben is saying, like later in 2022 or even early 2023. I think this first quarter could be, we could have imminent price explosion, and I think alt season is right around the corner. So I could be wrong, and that's what Bo Polney's saying. So Bo Polney, you know, he was wrong about December. We didn't get a top in December like he was saying, but you know, in his reports, he said that there was a cycle inversion, is the way he described it, and now he's predicting for the top to come in March, and he's talking about a spike coming very, very soon. To get the full dates, you have to subscribe to get the actual dates, turn dates. You'd have to subscribe to his newsletter, which is Gold 2020 Forecast. So check him out there. And yeah, I think Bo Polney is gonna be right. That's what I'm going with. I've seen him be spot on so many times. So I'm hoping that he's right, but that it might be like Benjamin's saying, in a more drawn out thing, or it might be more like Elios Trades is saying, where we don't have these long extended multi-year bull and bear markets, that they're going to be shorter, you know, more month time frames, and it's going to create a more just gradual up and to the right. I think he calls it a super cycle, and that, you know, so, you know, both of those people, Benjamin Cowen and Elios Trades, think the 4-year cycles are a thing of the past. But I don't know, I kind of think still like Plan B is saying, even though his last couple predictions didn't pan out the last couple months, but he's saying stock to flow is still valid, that it's only 2 standard deviations off, and that it's still within, you know, it's close enough, and it's gonna, you know, we're gonna get a bounce. And he does think we're going to go into a multi-year bear market, and I'm still of that mindset. I do think we're still going to have a few, you know, a year long, or maybe longer than a year bear market, and it's going to be a big one. But, you know, Richard could be right, and we could be in it, and Chico could be right, that it's because the Fed threatening to raise interest rates and them eventually raising rates is going to crash the stock market, which will also crash crypto. So those are real interesting things. Everybody has a different theory, and I could none of them would surprise me, to be honest. I also wanted to touch on the fact that Richard Hart mentioned that you know, Bitcoin was making a head and shoulders pattern, and ultimately, I think Richard gives great advice that, you know, most people shouldn't trade, and, you know, delayed gratification is the way to success and to wealth. And I think HEX is beautiful, and I'm excited about Pulse and PulseX, which we'll get to in a minute. But I want to play this clip from Mmcrypto talking about Head and Shoulders and why he doesn't like them. And Mmcrypto's been on fire lately. He's just spot on. I really, you know, check his videos daily, him and the Moon. But let's play this clip from Mmcrypto.
Right here. What you see here is potentially one of the most important and one of the most interesting fractals for Bitcoin I have seen in my life. Number one, first of all, let's circle back and let's determine how did I personally determine the worst case scenario, actually the lower 29,000 US dollars for Bitcoin earlier when we were in the beginning of the year. I said, hey guys, I think we are not gonna go lower than 29. Well, you can see, of course, it was multiple different indicators. Number one, it was the Fibonacci golden ratio right here. And if I am zooming out a little bit, number two, it was, of course, the EMA ribbon on the weekly, which was perfectly marking our bottom for Bitcoin. So now the question is, are we maybe not gonna go down to 30,000? Is this actually, this weekly candle marking the bottom for Bitcoin? According to this statistic here, according to this analysis, the answer is yes. And now hear me out. So you can see here two consecutive head and shoulders patterns next to each other. I don't like head and shoulders pattern. I don't like inverse head and shoulders pattern. The bullish ones, the bearish ones. I don't like them because they are freaking out people and they are wicking out people actually much more often than they are successful. Here is a great example. This is why you usually don't see me talking about head and shoulders pattern. We had left shoulder, right shoulder, head and right shoulder. Well, everyone who was shorting Bitcoin here for a price target of 10,000 or whatever got completely liquidated. This is why we were waiting for a bounce here, and actually it happened. Well, you can see we had the bottom marked by these two candle closes, right? And if you pull it over here, the Bitcoin price never closed below. Actually, 3 times we wicked below. Same thing right here. Here we are having a new bottom on the right head and shoulders pattern, right? Once again marked by the 2 candle closes right here. And once again, 3 times we wicked below. Now we are below. Of course, what we need now is the weekly candle going back above the 43,000 US dollar levels. Actually, we need a little bit more than that, but I wanted to talk about that, so bear with me. I want to make it as easy and understandable as possible here. You can see once again on the weekly candles, we have the potential bottom here converging with the low of the EMA ribbon, just exactly as earlier. Right here, we are having a potentially same constellation. What we need right now is that this tiny weekly candle looks like this one. It needs to turn into a green one. We have 6 more days for this. 6 more days that this candle will look like this candle. What we need. So this is what I'm looking out for my biggest trade of my life. Just a few days ago, people were still laughing at me when I was making this prediction. Now, listen guys, the people are not laughing at the Mmcrypto community anymore for making this bullish prediction. Actually, if I'm going back here, this is a screenshot from the video. From which video? From this video here. I made almost 2 days ago, 147,000 views. I said this is the biggest trade of my life. We were at approximately 41,000 US dollars, as you can see right here. Now, well, you can see Bitcoin is breaking higher, and this is important. We are breaking above this neckline here, and breaking above the neckline was one very important requirement for me to go back bullish. You can see we are already above that. Of course, we need the weekly close in 4 days. So far, it is looking good though. And if we are getting the weekly close above, likelihood is very high for a bullish reversal for Bitcoin. We need to wait these 4 days though. But I'm not done with you yet. Let me quickly go over here, over to which chart? I think it is this chart here. Yes, exactly. And then I'm going over to the daily candles for Bitcoin, because on the daily candles, you can see something interesting unfolding. Something I was talking about earlier, which is, let me quickly pull that out here, a daily falling wedge. I was talking about that in the video yesterday, I think, not the one 2 days ago. And this daily falling wedge was right now actually the day I was making the video. We were here. Of course, there are different ways how you can draw it. We were bouncing from the support, and right now we are coming very, very close. This is one which is possibly a tradable event at 44,450, 44,500 US dollars. The breakout would actually happen. And if we are getting a daily close outside, you could technically trade it all the way up to 68 to 69,000 US dollars. Obviously, you should be taking some profits beforehand, but this is about to get interesting potentially here. You can see on the daily candles, we are still below the ribbon. So obviously the break of the ribbon at 48,000 US dollars would be considered very bullish, but not yet. Once again, we have to wait a little bit, of course, for this to happen.
So as you can see, as is the case with all technical indicators, none of them are 100%. And Mmcrypto gives some good examples of head and shoulder patterns not playing out. And he says he doesn't like head and shoulders or reverse head and shoulders, which I found interesting. And just wanted to play that clip for you. Also, I have a couple more clips I want to play from some other people who are still bullish on the market. One is my perma bull, the Bearable Bull. So let's roll a clip from the Bearable Bull, as well as from Data Dash, and hear what both of those guys got to say, because I think they both make a good case for us still being in a bull market. So let's roll the clips.
I have this powerful graph from Zhu talking about the dormancy flow buy signal on Bitcoin, a very rare indicator. It's only happened 6 times in history, and immediately after we reach this pivotal zone, we explode in Bitcoin's value. Currently, we can see the US dollar price of Bitcoin, and we can see that Bitcoin has hit a critical buy zone, where in my opinion, this has historically shown that we are meant to appreciate in value. Every single time this indicator has been hit, we rise. And I don't think that's going to change. Currently today, Bitcoin's price is at $42,500. Incredible Crypto was discussing an important point here today. What if the major open interest wipeout everyone is looking for ends up happening because of a squeeze to the upside rather than a further move downwards? This happened in August 2021. As we move to the $30,000 bottom, and he thinks we can probably see that play out again with the bears getting wiped out. Let's see if this happens again, but there are numerous indicators that I'm looking at that signal to me that something powerful is about to happen as far as this crypto price action. I believe we're going to get bullish very soon. And it's going to be a fireworks display to behold. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we've been hearing a lot about tapering, the potential raising of interest rates that has spooked markets and has caused a global tech sell-off. This is part of the reason why December and the early part of January has been bad for the stock market and crypto. But one thing needs to be known by all of you, my savages, you cannot waver. The Federal Reserve manipulates markets with these type of quotes. They always go back and forth and never follow through on what they say they're going to do. Jerome Powell used to be against CBDCs and stablecoins. Then he called for a private-public partnership when it comes to this. Now he's saying that CBDCs and stablecoins can coexist. Markets rallied on the news, but the overall future remains in limbo, with inflation running hot and the potential to raise interest rates on the horizon. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see if they actually try to raise rates. They might try to do it, but I think what they'll see is pandemonium, and they'll realize they need to go lower. They'll realize hyperinflation needs to happen. They'll cripple the dollar as opposed to taking blame for a financial collapse. This is the new system they've been planning for. This is what XRP was meant for, the Consumer Price Index. This will be important, and I believe it could bring some short-term volatility before we continue to rise in the crypto space. Everything to me is beginning to turn bullish after the extreme fear, after the price suppression, after this massive correction. I see the writing on the wall. They're about to shift complete 180. And I believe this Ripple SEC case will be at the heart of this crypto bull run.
Now, as many of you might know, if you've been following the channel on a frequent basis, we've been talking about the idea that there is going to be more sell-off in the short term, a painful pullback here over the next coming weeks into the start of 2022 for Bitcoin. Needless to say, I want to explain today why I do not believe this is a bear market. I am confident that we are going to come back down to the $30,000, $35,000 range, and that is going to set the foundation for us to continue regaining back up to the previous all-time highs and kick off the parabolic close of this bull market later on in 2022. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it, guys, and start off with the chart of the hour, the Bitcoin chart, okay? Now, as many of you will recall, again, we've been talking confidently since we had our early December pullback here in price from around $56,000 all the way down to a relative low around 42K. Many people thought that this is the worst of the correction, that it was time for it to move higher, and we talked confidently about making an assumption that at this point we're going to be coming down to the $30,000, $35,000 range, right? Revisiting back down to the lower bound range that we saw back from May to July. And now that we've broken through the confident line of support that everyone was saying was the next best bet for Bitcoin and that was going to start moving higher, yet again, we've collapsed lower in price, well below that trend line of support. And now there really is no range of support here for Bitcoin. Some people might argue down here at 40K as it's a big even level, but to be completely frank with you guys, with the momentum here and the rollover, this dead cat bounce, it is likely we are coming back down to the lower accumulation range. Something we've been talking about religiously over the past couple of weeks since we had that first initial pullback in early December. And this is something that I really want to drive through here because, again, all the while some of you might be curious, saying, okay, Nick, if you believe that Bitcoin's going from 42K to 30K, aren't you bearish? Well, in the short term, you could label that as being bearish. But as you all know, as we have drawn here on the chart, I do not believe we are in a bear market. I believe what we're doing is building up a long-term accumulation channel, right, with a wide band between the resistance and support range that's going to set up the foundation once we make that top band of resistance support to really spring up and have our bull market top, our cycle top here for Bitcoin sometime later on in 2022. That's the general thesis we have. And the reason we've been holding this thesis is because of twofold principles. First off, we've already seen this happen in this bull market from the lows here, and I'll go ahead and turn on the logarithmic chart. So we can see here we've already had an exacerbated rally, right? Second fastest recovery from the lows of the bear market, entering into the next bull market, right? 345% move over a mere couple of months of trading. And then we had a long-term sideways accumulation pattern where, again, until we broke past it, we didn't kick off the next cycle, right? Another 370% move in price for Bitcoin. For this late on in Bitcoin's history, for the, really in this case, the fourth major cycle, to have these kinds of rallies, you're going to be met with long-term sideways accumulation. You're going to be met with lots of heavy mid-cycle corrections, sideways price action, setting up the base and foundation to showcase, yep, investors are willing to pay a premium to drive prices higher. Now, there's also another reason why we've been seeing this kind of stagnation over the longer term trend. Really, Bitcoin hasn't really moved since back here in January. We've been pushing generally sideways. Why is this? Well, it has to do with what's been driving this cycle. It has to do with leverage and credit. If you look at the vast majority of on-chain metrics, all the while there are some signs that institutions might be buying, that we might be seeing some new waves of buyers come in. That's generally going to be the case as prices move higher. The fact of the matter is that when we look at wallet data on chain, that there are not a new massive wave of investors like everyone has been projecting. Most of these rallies in price, as well as the corrections, have been driven by credit, by leverage in the market. And this is completely disorienting the space. It's completely disorienting price discovery in the crypto markets because people are utilizing their crypto assets that they've already bought to borrow more stable coins or dollar liquidity in order to go out and buy more crypto assets. And when people get too frothy here, when people get too confident, when there's enough spot market sell pressure, basically people selling their crypto assets, it causes a mass cycle of liquidations. And that's why we see these dramatic declines here. And I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to see that going forward, where we could revisit back down to this range in a mere matter of a week to 2 weeks. It may not take very long. We've seen in the past that that has happened because this market is just as frothy and over-collateralized, under-collateralized more specifically, with too much leverage as it was back in May. Case in point, the market has not learned its lesson. And because of that, we are likely going to see more blood in the streets before we can set up the foundation where smart money starts to buy in and establish higher lows and higher highs in price for us to really start moving higher.
All right. So there you have it. I think Data Dash and the Bearable Bull both make, like I said, good cases for this bull market continuing on. Data Dash seems more in line with what Benjamin Cowen's saying about it being a more extended cycle, a more drawn out bull run. And speaking of Benjamin Cowen, let's play some clips from him. Check out his Death Cross video. I think that's really good. Both him and PianomattyB, who is the funniest technical analysis out there. I mean, creative genius, that guy. I love how he plays the piano and how he cracks jokes, and he's just funny. I love PianomattyB. I check out his videos every day. But let's listen to both what Benjamin Cowen and PianomattyB have to say about the Death Cross. That has got a lot of people spooked. And then also let's play some clips from Benjamin Cowen's bull support band video, because I think he's got a real sound mind. He's not sensational at all, and it's just all very technical driven, no emotion, and he seems really smart and bright, and I'm actually loving a lot of his videos. So check out Benjamin Cowen, and let's roll these clips.
Today, we're going to talk about Bitcoin and my thoughts on the upcoming Death Cross. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Now, you guys generally know my thoughts on the golden crosses and the death crosses. They are, by definition, lagging indicators. Why? Because they are reliant on moving averages. And moving averages, as we know, are very much lagging indicators. So the reason I'm talking about it in this video, though, is because a lot of people have asked me, hey, we have a death cross coming up, what do you think? Therefore, I wanted to provide my opinion on it. So one of the things that we mentioned during the last golden cross video and the death cross video before that one was that when you get long accumulation phases, and in this case more or less between 30 and 60K, and if you have this sort of volatility that takes us from the bottom of the range to the top, to the bottom, to the top, now we're not at the bottom. We could go there, of course, but when you get this sort of volatility up and down, you're just going to have crosses of these moving averages. And it's not any more complicated than that. And actually, a lot of times when you get a death cross, not always, but a lot of times you actually get a pump into it. If you were to ask me, what do you think is going to happen here in the next couple of days with a death cross, I would actually think it's more likely that Bitcoin goes up than goes down. If you go back to 2019, we saw that actually happen on more than one occasion.
Yes, the crowd has noticed that impending death cross. Up with the 50 and the 200. Now I've said before, I don't really believe in death crosses or golden crosses. But I do believe in crazy, so when the crowd sees these lagging indicators, they can, and often do, go a little cray-cray. Now to me, it's all wordplay. Has an ominous name. It's a death cross. But But she's not so ominous over a B major 7th add 9, is she? No, she's not. Now I think it should be called a bottom cross, because it tends to happen when we hit or are close to the bottom, and she's a lagging indicator telling us what we already know. Yes, the market's been down, thanks, we get it. We feel it, we live it. Would people go as crazy if it was called the bottom cross? Probably. People love to go crazy.
Now, I've had a lot of people ask me, Ben, are we in a bull market or are we in a bear market? Look, as I've said before, and I said this back in the summer, and you know, crypto Twitter had a field day with it, but I'll say it again. For me, I don't really care what the narrative is on other channels or whatever that is. All I care about is when we're below the 20-week SMA, the market is bearish. When we're above the 20-week SMA, the market is bullish. That's all I really care about. It doesn't need to be any more complicated than that, even though a lot of people want to make it a lot more complicated than that. And I think for me, as I said back in the summer, just because we're below it doesn't mean that we have to stay below it for a year. And we didn't stay below it for a year back in the summer. If you remember, we trended below it for approximately 3 months, and then we broke through it. Right now, we've been below it for about a month and a half. All right. So look, I would expect continued, still spending a decent amount of time below it. I'm not anticipating us breaking it this week. I'm with that said, I would not be surprised at all if we had a bounce sometime soon. Maybe this week, doesn't have to be, of course, but that bounce, whenever it does come, the most likely rejection point that we need to focus on would be the bull market support band. So that's why we do these updates, is because you need to know what these valuations are that we're looking at to see if Bitcoin can break above it. In the summer, we broke above it, right? We broke above the 20-week SMA, at just over 40K or so back over here, and then we held it as support, and then we put in a new all-time. A lot of people have asked me too, well, what's my outlook for the first quarter? As I've said before, I'm not expecting a parabolic rally this quarter. Could definitely have bounces this quarter. I'm not saying that. I mean, these are easy to have. But what I would expect is a trial, right? Like a brutal test off and on of the 20-week. And whether that means we get above it on the first attempt, which would be the most ideal scenario, or the second attempt, or the third attempt, I don't know. But I would say that in Q1, we're looking at a lot of headwinds, okay? But look, the market structure hasn't changed. I mean, you can call it what you want. We've just been going sideways for the last year. It's just a sideways market, my friends. So my outlook on the market hasn't changed. I think that Q1, we have a fight on our hands. Maybe that could even bleed into Q2. And then I'm looking either later in Q2, Q3, Q4, thinking the market turns back around and we start, we're looking at better price action. But in the short term, expect a battle on our hands. And let's see if we can get back above the bull market support band. I put out a video a couple days ago saying, I think there's some reasons to at least believe that we should be getting a bounce relatively soon. I can assure you I do not have a crystal ball. I could be completely wrong. Maybe there's no bounce until we go lower, right? We could go lower before we get that bounce. Lower than 40K is what I mean, because in the video we were talking about, trying to hold the line here at 40K because we went to 40.5. So I'm looking for a potential bounce soon. And if we get that bounce, the line in the sand to watch is the bull market support band, again, which now ranges from 52.4 to 49.6.
All right, so that about does it for where we are in the market. Like I said, I'm still bullish. I'm hoping for March. That's what I'm thinking. Bo Polney is going to be right, but it could be later on in the year or possibly early next year, or we could be, Richard was right, and that was just a double top in November, and we were well into the bear market already. So time will tell. Also, now I want to move to Ravencoin. So a few days ago, Ravencoin had its halving at block 2,100,000, the mining reward went down from 5,000 Raven to 2,500 Raven as the reward to the miners. Yeah, and so now that is Ravencoin was one of the top most profitable. I think it was number one for a minute there. Most profitable coin to mine, especially as Ethereum gets ready to transition to proof of stake. A lot of the Ethereum miners have been looking for other coins and other proof of work projects to mine, and Ravencoin was benefiting from that. Now, since the halving, it's like ranked number 8 or something on the list. You know, because the mining reward went down. But I think, you know, usually if you look at Bitcoin or Litecoin or any other proof of work coin, normally there's a lag, and it isn't for a little while after the halving that the price starts to appreciate. And so I think this is going to be good for the price, because miners aren't going to have as much Raven to sell, you know, to cover cost of mining and put that downward pressure on the price. And I think in the coming months, especially if we're still in a bull market, we're going to see Ravencoin just soar. And because there's so much being done, so much being built. NFTs on Ravencoin are amazing. Check out, there's some awesome platforms like Ravenist, justnfts.io. There's another platform called RVNFT, and also another one called theassetmarketplace.com. So check out all those platforms. Probably one of my favorite NFT projects being done on Ravencoin. There's two or three that I really like. There's one called Degen Smokers, and if you go to the Lions, Bulls, and Bears Instagram or our Twitter, my profile picture is a Degen Smoker. They're kind of like crypto punks on Ravencoin. There's also Raven Friends, which are these adorable little otters, and some other animals, and Crypto Mona. I like those too. It's like a kind of like a crypto punk Mona Lisa. And yeah, so I'm really stoked about all the NFTs projects being done on Ravencoin. I've been minting and collaborating with like artist friends of mine that are artists, and you know, creating NFTs on Ravencoin, and it's super simple. It's a lot of fun. They have an amazing community, very welcoming and informative and educational community. So yeah, get involved with the Ravencoin community on Twitter. And yeah, so Ravencoin turned 4, had its halving, and you know, we at the Lions, Bulls, and Bears, we love Ravencoin. Big fans of that project. And now let's move on to, let's go ahead and talk about Pulse and PulseX now. So the sacrifice phase for PulseX is going on right now, which Pulse is an Ethereum fork. So you could think of Pulse like ETH, but arguably better, which we got into that in my first video. You know, it's not proof of work, so it's, you know, uses less energy, and miners don't dump it, and just all around better. If it pans out the way Richard says, it's you know, he only forked Ethereum because Ethereum started to suck, and you know, he's designed Pulse better. And so and PulseX is like Uniswap. It's going to be the decentralized, the DEX on Pulse. And so that sacrifice phase is going on right now. And yeah, it's past the point where it's starting to go down each day, 5%. But if you act fast and act today, I still think, you know, today or tomorrow, it still might be worth it. Again, nothing in this video is financial advice. But, you know, if you wait any longer, it's going down 5% each day. And a good opportunity in my eyes is just getting HEX, keeping it liquid, and trading that for PulseX, and you don't even have to trade it if you don't want, because if you get HEX now, the snapshot hasn't happened. So when Pulse comes out, it's the world's largest airdrop. Every ERC20 token, every NFT on Ethereum, you're gonna receive the Pulse version of that. So you're gonna get PHEX, and PHEX is just gonna be called HEX, and they're gonna be calling HEX on Ethereum EHEX. And so you'll get, if all the HEX you get now, or any ERC20 token, you'll get the equivalent of that on the Pulse chain as well. So right now, Pulse HEX is what I'm looking at. HEX, just getting HEX, keeping it liquid in preparation for Pulse to come out, so I can get PHEX for my HEX. And then another project I like, so that's PulseX. The Bearable Bull also brought up a really cool metaverse project called Epik Prime. So right now the two coins I'm looking at buying is Epik Prime and HEX. So let's roll the clip from Bearable Bull about Epik Prime.
Ladies and gentlemen, this token I'm discussing is Epik Prime. And when we look at this coin, it's currently priced at 18 cents, with a previous all-time high at about 82 cents. This shows me that it's retraced enough where I think this entry point is incredible. First of all, I think Epik Prime will ride the metaverse trend of 2022. Next, I do believe its fundamentals are strong. It has over 350 business partners covering more than 1,000 iconic brands, over 250 game companies comprising over 200 million daily active users. Its team comes from Nintendo, Tetris, IBM, and Pokemon. Its featured clients, properties, and brands include Tencent, Asian Gaming Goliath, Universal, and Warner Music Group. But that's only the surface. When we continue, we can see Signum Capital, Sony, Valiant, Roger Ver, and investors like JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, SoftBank, and R3, which you can't see on the screen here, but it is a part of it. Ladies and gentlemen, when I see fundamentals like this, connections like this, I think something is undervalued when it's ranked 622nd on CoinMarketCap with a suppressed chart. Guys, I believe the metaverse is something that they just BS'd into existence out of nowhere. They said, okay, we've scared the world enough over the past 2 years that we can create this digital asset class and make billions upon billions from it. In the words of Cathie Woods, it could actually be $1 trillion asset class, and I wouldn't be surprised. They're going to be funneling money into this space. Speculative values will be going to the moon. But I believe Epik Prime, with the fundamentals it has, we have plenty of room to grow. I'm putting this in front of you today as a high-risk coin, the highest risk one I've ever done yet. Because I believe we can all ride the wave, take profits, and funnel some of that for XRP in the future.
Yeah, so excuse all the screaming, I got a wild child. So, yeah, Epik Prime sounds really awesome to me. I think the metaverse play is going to be huge and just getting started. And if you missed the boat on Sandbox or Decentraland, Epik Prime seems like a good one. So Definitely going to be scooping some of that. After Bearable Bull put out that video, it like shot up like 70%, but it's come down a little bit now, and so now's a good time to pick up some, in my opinion. Again, not financial advice. I can only tell you what I'm doing, but I'm going to be getting some today. So now let's move on to XRP. Man, things are really heating up. China's rolling out their CBDC, which you guys know my stance. I think the United States is also going to roll out a CBDC, and it's going to use XRP. And like even Chico admitted in his video just barely that it seems all set up. That's what the XRP community's been saying for a long time, that this is all just theater, that XRP's fate is sealed. You know, that they might be going after the escrow, like the government wants that escrowed XRP, or this is just like the motions we need to go through to get regulatory clarity. And it even has Chico concerned about Ethereum. And I said this in my video on XRP, if you go back and watch it, that Ethereum wasn't safe. You had Tone Vase and others coming out saying that Ethereum wasn't safe and in the clear. And it turns out William Hinman's statement was just his personal opinion. And the judge granted Ripple access to SEC memos about Ethereum and Bitcoin. So it's going to be real interesting how this pans out. I think there will be a settlement soon. And I think, especially if we're still in a bull market, that XRP is going to take off. And this, even BitBoy Crypto saying this could be the catalyst for the bull market. So this regulatory clarity could be what starts the next leg. If there isn't a settlement, Jeremy Hogan is saying it could take as long as until August or September, which if it goes that long and it works out good and favorable and everything takes off, and this is a catalyst like BitBoy Crypto saying, that kind of ties in line with what Benjamin Cowen saying on just the timeline. So it'd be real interesting to see what happens with XRP, what happens with central bank digital currencies. And yeah, you even have like congressmen chiming in. You know, Congress could step in and do something. So I also have a couple clips about XRP from, of course, the Bearable Bull and also BitBoy Crypto. Let's roll those clips.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand that today was a powerful day when it came to politics and finance. Tom Emmer, an outspoken congressman, stated today new digital currency legislation is coming soon. When I saw that, I finally began to see the light at the end of the tunnel for crypto regulations, clarity, and the potential end for this SEC case. That doesn't mean it'll happen tomorrow. It just means that I feel things shifting in the air. Tom Emmer saying this was right on the heels of Jerome Powell giving a monstrous message. From Yahoo Finance, Jerome Powell, the Fed chair, stated that a report on digital currencies is ready to go. In the same breath, from Blockworks, CBDCs and stablecoins can coexist. This was brought up from Jerome Powell. As guys, yesterday was a bombshell of a day for the XRP community. And something I have to tell all of you is, we just got clarity as to what's going on in the background. The past few days have been massive. Jerome Powell, day one, said a report on digital currencies is ready and stablecoins and CBDCs can coexist. Next, the Ripple SEC case has been delayed for 1 month. And then, like clockwork, Tom Emmer proposes a bill to ban the Fed from having a China-like CBDC. Something big is brewing in the background, involving Ripple, XRP, CBDCs, the Fed, and Congress. And I like it. I love it. The future of our investment is getting clear every single day. All of these things pertain directly to XRP adoption, in my opinion. And I believe in the highest levels of government, and the highest levels of finance, and the highest levels of politics, we are being discussed. Ladies and gentlemen, let's quickly review this bill proposed by Tom Emmer because it's a big one. Tom Emmer introduced a bill prohibiting the Fed from issuing a CBDC directly to individuals. And personally speaking, I love it. Tom Emmer has been a congressman that's been right on the money. Other countries like China have developed CBDCs that fundamentally omit benefits and protections of cash. This bill would ensure financial privacy. CBDCs that fail to adhere to these three basic principles could enable an entity like the Fed to mobilize itself into a retail bank, collect personal information, track their transactions indefinitely. This CBDC model raises a single point of failure, leaving Americans' financial information vulnerable to an attack. But it could be used as surveillance as well, something that we've been discussing here for a long time. Any CBDC implemented by the Fed must be open, permissionless, and private. This means that any digital dollar must be acceptable to all, transact on the blockchain that is transparent, and maintain the privacy of cash. In order to maintain the dollar status as the world's reserve currency in a digital age, it's important that the US lead with a posture that prioritizes innovation and does not aim to compete with the private sector. Simply put, we must prioritize blockchain tech with American characteristics rather than mimic China's authoritarianism. Ladies and gentlemen, wow! Central bank digital currency adoption will go hand in hand with XRP adoption. And now, in the front lines of Congress, a bill has been passed directly towards this. This specific niche within the financial system is so important. It's showing that there is a battle going on right now to see what is going to happen. Tom Emmer seems to be on the side of freedom. We all know the Fed isn't. Let's see what this Fed digital currency report looks like. But to me, what I'll say to you is that it looks like we're closer than we've ever been before when it comes to seeing a resolution to this case. Ladies and gentlemen, on the same day Tom Emmer proposed that bill, Gary Gensler also tweeted this: enforcement by the SEC is one of the fundamental pillars in achieving the SEC's mission. One pillar is framework for policies, the laws set by Congress and the rules enacted by the Commission. But you also have to examine against those laws and rules and enforce the rules. He talks about imagining a football game without referees. And Stuart Alderati, general counsel at Ripple, gave his 2 cents on it. The football field with no referee analogy Gary Gensler insists on using is wrong. The truth is the SEC uses regulation by enforcement to create an uneven playing field and picks winners and losers. His speech says a high impact case pulls many other actors from the line. Does that sound like regulation by enforcement to anyone else? The SEC intends that the mere filing of a case chills behavior, regardless of whether they are right on the right side of the law or the facts. Because after all, that's why the SEC plays the delay card and uses it to their advantage. So much for justice delayed is justice denied. How about publicly committing to moving the Ripple case as swiftly as possible with no more delays? This speaks volumes.
Guys, we got so much big news going on right now. First, XRP. Army, where are you at? If you are in the XRP Army, make sure to throw up the X and like this video. Huge. Judge says Ripple can access emails about SEC Ethereum speech. Now, this is a speech from William Hinman. I'm going to show you how the SEC shot themselves in the foot here. William Hittman said that Bitcoin and Ethereum are not securities. He used to work for the SEC. He was commissioner, I believe, or whatever his job was. And what he said is that these are pretty much, good to go and flourish. Now, SEC has now said that XRP is a security. That is, of course, their accusation. And the question is, what did Ethereum have that XRP didn't have in their token sale? And really the strongest argument is Ethereum just had more time to advance than Ripple did, so it got more decentralized. That's what they say. However, the SEC said that William Hinman's, views are his personal views, and that's not actually the SEC position. The Bitcoin and Ethereum are not securities. Okay, so Judge Netburn in the case said, oh, so you believe that that is his personal opinion, and these emails regarding this speech construct a personal opinion, not an SEC opinion. Well, you can't protect that. There's no precedent for protecting a personal opinion. So now Ripple is going to get access to all of the emails that went around in the days previous to that statement that could show the SEC reasoning and logic on why that William Hinman believed Ethereum should not be a security. This could be a devastating blow to the case for the SEC.
All right, so good stuff by both those guys. I watch every one of their videos. I like BitBoy Crypto. I like the Bearable Bull. It's going to be real interesting to see how this all pans out with the governments and with Congress and with the SEC. Also, around the blockchain, on BitBoy's channel, they had good roundtable discussion about it. But I really liked what Naomi Brockwell said, so let's hear this clip from Naomi, and then we're gonna move on to Galactic Gang, which I'm so excited to talk to you guys about. So,
all right, Naomi. Now, assuming that XRP and Ripple get exonerated in this whole case, would that affect your view on the corporation and the XRP token in particular?
I don't think anything the SEC says is going to affect my view on anything. I don't know why anyone takes them seriously at this stage. I mean, I'm just going to reiterate what everyone else has already said on this chat. Right from the get-go, the SEC has been targeting success, not scams. One of the first companies that the SEC went after in crypto was Satoshi Dice, not because anyone had complained. Everyone was using it. Everyone found this gambling platform really, really valuable. They wanted to get involved, yet they targeted it. And so they're just going after things that threaten the US government and show that the US government potentially doesn't have power over this new wave of financial innovation. And so really, this is all about the SEC making a power play. I hope that XRP gets exonerated because that means the exchanges will feel okay listing it. But honestly, if that's the case, if we're relying on centralized exchanges listing XRP and we're relying on the SEC making a favorable outcome, I mean, crypto was created to get away from all this reliance on all these third parties, right? We are way too reliant on centralized exchanges if this is our primary goal. We should be getting more involved with DEXs, where you don't need anyone's permission to get listed. I think it's really crazy that we have this situation where we have these permissionless innovations and we're still focused on what the SEC has to say and whether or not they're going to give us permission. Like, newsflash, we don't need to get permission from anyone to be in this space anymore. We've taken that power back. The tables have turned with all this decentralized tech, and it's time that we embrace that power and really embrace this decentralized side of all of this rather than, centralized exchanges, whether or not they're going to list it, whether or not price is going to moon on these centralized exchanges. Like, I think the SEC is a joke. I think that they are far too focused on making people's choices for them and protecting consumers from their own decisions. Like, I wish that they would stop infantilizing us and would let us just get along with our own lives and trust that we've done our own research and we can make our own decisions. Like, we're not children, and maybe they should stop treating us as such.
all right. So I wanted to talk about how I first found out about Galactic Gang and Chris Dyer, and that was through Marcel Braun and Project 33. They collaborated, and there's actually some unreleased art units, which I am so excited for when these get released. Because you guys, if you aren't aware, I'm a big supporter and very pumped on Project 33. And for those who don't know, it's an alternative currency made of glass. and we're actually been tokenizing them and creating NFTs as certificate of authenticity to go along with them on Ravencoin. And anyway, so Chris Dyer, the artist who behind Galactic Gang, did a awesome mural on the side of the starship of the studio, and then he also collaborated with Marcel, and they made some glass versions of his art.
So today I'm in Eugene, Oregon. I'm working on a project with my guest, who's Marcel Braun, and he is a legendary glass blower and the head of the Starship Collective Rebel Alliance.
The absolute most important thing for humanity right now, in my opinion, is the redistribution of engineering. And Buckminster Fuller has a beautiful quote: we need to change from building weaponry to building livingry. And the technology all exists. And he was saying that back in the 60s. He's like, listen, you know, peace on earth means abundance for everybody, because the engineering to make an aircraft carrier, one aircraft carrier, could undeniably clean all the plastic floating in the ocean off the surface.
Well, the gun is connected to his heart because he's a warrior, and so it's kind of like a Rambo-free kind of situation. So he's, you know, in the war, the spiritual war between good and evil, and he's a fiery dude who works with fire, but you always gotta make sure that fire is coming from his heart center, so it's always coming out with love and passion. Even if it's fighting, it's always with a good intention. So, yeah, that's what I was looking for with that.
Yeah, baby. I love you.
And pulled them in, it's called Marini, where they do an image inside the rod that runs all through the rod, and then they slice up this rod into little coins. And yeah, like I said, I'm super excited for when those get released. But anyway, that's how I first found out about him. And then also, like, he collaborates with Grassroots, like, who make these hats, and I saw some of it, and I have like one of his mood mats that he collaborated with Mood Mat, and so and I just really loved his art. And then I saw you just drop in an NFT collection, and I had to get involved. So I'm super excited about Galactic Gang. Check them out on OpenSea. I'll link the website and their OpenSea down below, and their Twitter. And he's implementing like augmented reality and metaverse. It's all going to be metaverse compatible and all that.
Hey guys, thanks for joining our first ever NFT class. We'll be going over how to make your own NFT gallery using OnCyber. You can go to oncyber.io and then connect your MetaMask. Make sure that is connected to the wallet. Connected, log in, connect your wallet, sign. Here you will choose a gallery. There are free ones. There also are ones that you can purchase on OpenSea that are a little more in depth, but there are free ones. And so we'll go over how to make a free one today. So there's the Wolfgang, White Cube, Warehouse, and then the Cyber Classic. It depends on how many there are. There's 44 frames, 20 frames, 25 frames, and 32 frames. So let's go ahead and choose the first one. So you pretty much get your own metaverse. You can start editing. You can name what you want it. You can have a banner for it. You can see how many visits you have and how many days. So we'll go ahead and write Galactic Gang. As you can see, it's changing right there. And then we can upload maybe. Let's just do one of these for now. So we can start editing. You can move a WASD to move, and then you can also use your mouse to drag. So as you can see, this gallery, you can go up to these areas and it'll say add artwork. So it's pretty simple. All you need to do is walk over to the area, click it, it'll pop up, and then it'll know which NFTs you hold. So right here I have a couple of example ones. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw this one up there. And you can move it around. You can add a frame to it, different colors, or whatever you want to match your, idea. You can have a notes on there, and pretty much what happens, you can also make this bigger or larger depending on whatever you want to work with. But when people come up to your gallery, they can click onto it and it'll go to your OpenSea.
And it was featured in Forbes, which I'll link the Forbes article down below. And there's been over 2 million in secondary sales, and it's already got some big, pretty big name celebrities involved. There's Andy Milonakis, as well as Grizz, Jaws, who else? Destructo and Floss. Those are two separate artists, Destructo and Floss, as well as some NHL, NBA, and MLB players who are also getting involved with the project and have some NFTs. So I'm super excited. Check out Galactic Gang. I'm going to do a whole in-depth video on Galactic Gang. But join the Discord, check them out on Twitter, and yeah, I mean, such cool art. Chris Dyer is the man. It's some really cool psychedelic, just trippy art. I love it. And yeah, I think that about wraps it up for this video. Sorry for all the screaming. I'm also parenting right now, and I took my daughter on a little field trip to the library. If you want to, go right ahead. Okay. Speaking of, so sorry for all the noise, but hopefully the sound comes through, and hopefully you guys found this video informative and interesting. Comment down below on where you think we are in this market. Are we in a bear market? Are we in a bull market? Check out the Ravencoin NFTs and Galactic Gang. And I'm going to do a whole video on the XRP as that case progresses. And I'll probably do a whole Ravencoin video soon too. So I just wanted to touch on some of these things while they're on my mind. And yeah, stay safe, everyone. Much love. And take care. See you next time. Peace.